So, dear friends, welcome everyone. My name is Roman Chukov, and I'm tremendously happy to greet you on behalf of Friends for Leadership Network in our today's Zoom event. For those who was brave and excited to participate in our contest, and this was a long time, longly discussed idea that we should let people collect the scalable solutions from the ground, which they implement at homes, and let other people, other like-minded individuals or organizations have the chance to replicate them, share them in their communities. And this is how the idea of the Friends for Leadership Network emerged. So our contest under the auspices of UN 75 Office, United Nations Information Center in Moscow, our esteemed partners, Roscongress Foundation, Center for International Promotion, which is actual institutional body for Friends for Leadership, and TV Bricks, our media partner. So we went through several online discussions throughout this year, and this is the final one in this very difficult year. But we hope that through our joint actions, we can begin something interesting and something new. So I see that already 88 people connected. So maybe I will start from saying what's going to happen today. So we have received more than 500 applications from all of you, and we are tremendously happy that so many people wanted to share, because sharing is caring, as people say, and we promise that each initiative and each project will be very attentively studied, explored by our peer review from the team, and answering the question of who it will be. Today, after several high-level speakers, we also have our high-level Friends for Leadership members who will tell you in each nomination how they are going to also proceed with the selection process. But generally, I need to honestly say that we did not anticipate so many applications. That's why, of course, we need for careful study, and we need some time. And we will certainly shortlist the best 100 projects. This is first. Second, each participant will receive a certificate. Each participant will be given opportunity also to join our community, if you wish. And with all the participants, we will start to work on acceleration and promotion of your project and initiative. So when you already made this huge effort and applied with your project, we believe that we should, our mission is to support you and then also help with your project further. We will have a lot of other bonuses, but this is a general message that after we finish the selection process, not only the winning projects, but also all the projects who applied will receive a lot of attention, love, and support from our side, because we believe that this is how the things should be done for active citizens, active people who care about the world. And after this tremendous year in terms of UN 75 process, which I think gathered enormous attention of I don't know how many billion people now know what is UN 75, and that's UN turned 75 this year. That's why I think that it's time to give the floor to our high-level guest, a good friend of ours, Natalie Samarasinghe, who is the Chief of Strategy and Deputy of the UN 75 Office. And we will kindly ask her to tell us the key milestones of the UN 75 process this year, and maybe some expectations on how we can continue this positive wave which you set for this year in further joint cooperation of the UN and active citizens worldwide. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Roman, for the opportunity to join so many talented and innovative people today. And thank you also for just all of the support you've given UN 75 over the past year. As you said, this has been a really challenging year. We had this beautiful vision of having conversations on the ground, between communities, within communities, in all settings. Of course, COVID made that very difficult. We could not have achieved what we have been able to without Friends for Leadership, and I very much hope that we can continue to to really count on your support, your ideas, and your action above all. Because our aim was not just to have this nice little anniversary that we have a nice consultation, we go home, and it's a little tick box exercise. We want to really start a global movement for change. So why did we do this? I mean, this anniversary, we saw it in two different ways. I think on the one hand, you look back 75 years and you think there was this big war, unprecedented suffering. And out of this, leaders created the United Nations. And it's a story that's often romanticized as a sort of product of global idealism. But actually, the UN wasn't founded after the war, it was founded during the war. In fact, at the peak of the war. And it was a very pragmatic response by these leaders who just took a calculation and said, you know what? The welfare of our citizens and the future generations is just much better secured if we cooperate and we compromise than if we have this sort of aggression and war. But of course, the pain that led to that realization was huge. So you have to ask yourself, what will it take today to get there? And of course, we have, in many ways, another 1945 moment now. We have, huge issues that we faced even before COVID turned our lives upside down. So our Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, he said, please don't treat this anniversary as a celebration. And thank goodness we didn't, given the year we've had. But he wanted us to focus on what he called the four horsemen of the apocalypse: the climate emergency, geopolitical tensions, the dark side of new technologies. They bring us great opportunities, but there are risks, and popular discontent. And personally, I find it very fascinating that, last January, which feels like, a lifetime ago, the Secretary General said, popular discontent, the gap between people and governments and institutions, distrust, this is a challenge that is at the same level as geopolitics and climate. I mean, I just thought that was quite astounding, really. And he wanted us, my team, with my colleagues, to try and tackle that issue by listening to the people we serve, by trying to understand their hopes and fears for the future, and also really, what do they expect of the UN? What do they expect of the international community? So we launched this global consultation on how to close the gap between the future we want, which is embodied very well in the Sustainable Development Goals, and where we're going to end up if we continue as we are. So I already said, our vision was to spark discussions in classrooms, boardrooms, parliaments, village halls. That became very, very difficult from sort of late February, March onwards. But I think it also made our work a lot more urgent. So as the pandemic spread, it really exposed the fragility, not just of our health systems, but all our systems. It underscored how connected we are and how important it is for us to work together. And I think our response, through this consultation was really a key part of what the UN did to confront COVID. Because what we did is we tried to give people across the world an opportunity to share their views on how to tackle this crisis and recover from it. And we especially focused on young people and the marginalized. So we have now 1.5 million people who've taken our survey from all countries and walks to life. And again, big thanks to Friends for Leadership for everything that you did to help them. We have had hundreds of thousands, I should say, of people take part in dialogues. I think our reach, I'm not sure it's billions yet, but I think it's at least 500, 600 million so far who have in some way interacted and given us their views. And we also wanted to make sure we weren't just reaching out to those who like us, preaching to the converted. So we commissioned formal polling from 2 independent companies. They polled 50,000 people in 50 countries, just so we had a little reality check to see, okay, how does that sample compare? And what they told us, and I will share, the final report is not out, I'll share a little bit today. I think what they told us was pretty fascinating because firstly, we feel our world is very polarized. You see that on social media. We see that in politics. We feel that we're not really all in this together. But actually, for the most part, people told us the same things, wherever they came from, whatever their background, whatever their age. And of course, in this current context, the immediate priority for people, even in rich countries, was simply access to basic services. Can I get the healthcare I need? Can I get the education I need? Can I get, is my water gonna work? My sanitation gonna work? And people also wanted to see more international solidarity. So they were able to look beyond those immediate needs and say, we want more solidarity and we want to support those who are hardest hit by this crisis. What I find a little bit depressing is that in every region, people said, we want to support those who are worse off than us, with the exception of the few countries that have the highest levels of human development. They were the only countries that did not prioritize aid to the least well off. And that is something that, we are really looking into those results, looking into those countries and thinking, how can we change mindsets there? So looking to the future, people's overwhelming concern, climate crisis, the destruction of the natural environment. And again, what I find really interesting is, we start this survey in January and, climate is up here, health is sort of down there. And then of course the pandemic goes and health starts going up, but it never caught up with climate. Climate always surged more. So even as the pandemic was taking its toll, people still were thinking about climate change. The other top priorities were human rights, action to address conflict and to reduce corruption. And I think most encouraging for us at the UN is that across all ages, all regions, all social groups, and this includes our control sample, the independent polling, we found overwhelming support for global cooperation. 97% of people said it was important. 97%. And I think it's somewhere in the low 70s, within that said it's essential to overcoming the challenges we face. And the other thing we found fascinating is people were thinking big. You might think in the midst of the crisis, people just want to get back to the way things were, but no. In our dialogues, participants called for the global economy to be transformed. They called for a just transition to zero carbon, universal health coverage, universal basic income, affordable access for everyone to technology, fossil fuel subsidies to end, lethal autonomous weapons to be banned. But I think the one thing that we heard everywhere was a clear demand for more inclusion, meaningful inclusion of youth and civil society in decision-making at all levels, including the UN. Our challenge, of course, now is how do we meet these expectations? So the good news for us is we have the Sustainable Development Goals. That really is a path forward. And people don't believe me because they sort of say, oh, they were adopted 5 years ago. How can they be the right response for now? But the problems we face are not because of the pandemic. The pandemic has shone a spotlight on them. It makes things a lot worse, but there are underlying issues that were already there. So what we need now is really greater ambition to turbocharge progress, because even before COVID, the goals were off track. 1 in 3 people didn't have access to drinking water. Over half our population didn't have access to sanitation. Now, poverty is rising for the first time in 2 decades. Hunger is rising in every continent. So our aspiration cannot be to return to normal because normal was not working for most of the world's people. On the plus side, the pandemic has shown that we can have huge transformations in a very short space of time. Money can be unlocked very quickly if we have political will and public support. So we need to try and harness that combination now for the SDGs with policy recommendations, with concrete actions, with tools. And that's where we will turn to you. The Secretary General has now been asked by UN member states to respond to the global consultation, to come up with some proposals for September next year on really how can we build this vision? How can we make good on these priorities that everyone shared with us? So we need your input and we will continue to need it. And I really look forward to finding out more about this process and who's emerged and what the ideas are. I'll be passing them on to the Secretary General's office. We'll see how best we can get you all involved going forward. But I just want to sort of end by saying, this has been a tough year. And I always tell my communications colleagues, you did a wonderful job, but no one is going to remember 2020 because it was UN 75, unfortunately. It is going to be the year of COVID, the year of crisis. But I do believe that if we can seize this opportunity, 2020 might still become the year that is remembered as the year we turned it all around, if we can come together and act. So thank you very much for all your support.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Natalie, for this very inspiring speech. For those who just recently joined us, this was Natalie Samarasinghe, who is the Chief of Strategy of the UN 75. And I will briefly, I want actually to run some poll. I don't know if you can see it now. I think that we can allow a couple more seconds to have the replies. And by the way, I want to say that, again, for those who just joined us, that we promise to help all the projects who were submitted, because we really think this is our mission, not only as Principal Leadership, but all of us individually. This is Principal Leadership. Basically, it's a network for individuals who want to do something, and to actually find the right path for the activity. We united our efforts. We are already more than 65 countries with more than 200 people, and plus I hope that if you want to join us, we will be even more, because we received more than 500 applications from, I think, 93 countries. So it's already 1.5 times more than we had before. So from the poll, I see that people more or less already familiar with the UN 75 survey. If you're still thinking about taking it, go to un75.online and also share it to your pages. I think that we can reach some new maximum of responses, which actually it's bravo, because I think UN was never so close to people. And from what we are doing now, we want to reply also from people, from active citizens who really do projects on the ground. And to do so, Principal Leadership Network is also joining forces, as with the UN agencies, but also with some other partners. And I want to briefly also give the floor to 3 of our distinguished partners, who are Billy Batware from Young UN, who is Steve Lee from UNMGCY, and Sam Loni from Sustainable Development Solutions Network, or SDSN. So that you trust us how serious are our intentions with such huge and strong partners on board. So I don't know, gentlemen, who can be the first? Maybe Billy, you can start from just explaining our friends today what is Young UN and how we can work together to promote, disseminate, and support these great local practices which we gather through the contest.
Thank you so much for giving me the floor. It's really a pleasure and a privilege for me to join, at least on a short notice, but I was very excited when Regina offered me to join in and to see and to experience this moment of really activism and proactive actions when it comes to supporting the work of the United Nations on UN 75 and Sustainable Development Goals. My name is Billy Batware. I'm a program officer at the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime here in Vienna, Austria, and I'm also a member of Young UN, as you correctly mentioned. And Young UN is a network really of across UN agencies all over the world. We're about 2,000 members now. And the idea of us having started the network in 2016 was how can we, as young professionals at that time, how can we support the system to function better? We know that the system is, as our colleague Natalie mentioned, the SG himself is very keen on looking beyond the boxes or outside the box to see what are the options for solutions that there are there to support the system. So our role is to identify key areas where we can support the UN SG's message and priorities. And we want, most of our members are young people, so we identify certainly with a lot of members that you have here, and we appreciate your work. And in fact, when UN 75 dialogues started, we as Young UN also took actions in our own communities, in schools where we did study before and conducted these dialogues with those communities and students. And it was quite amazing to see really the enthusiasm and interest of those people in the dialogues. So we appreciate these efforts, such as those of Friends for Leadership and Asia Youth Network for Peace. And we think there are a lot of opportunities that we can certainly look into. For example, as I mentioned on UN 75, for example, we have gained a lot of experience in knowing that. We have a lot of experience also in trying things that cannot work within Young UN, and we think that there's some experience that we can share with networks such as yours, innovative networks, more or less social entrepreneurship networks. We have a lot of such experience that we can share. So we will be happy to remain in touch with you and Regina and to see where some of the priorities could be. But certainly we can imagine that sharing best practices and experiences and learning from each other, mentoring one another could be one of the areas that we can cooperate. So I really wish everyone the best. Congratulations on this really milestone of 500 applicants. That's quite a huge number. So good luck in navigating those, and we're really looking forward to seeing what kind of project you come up with. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Billy. And again, all these 500 plus projects will receive our support and support of our partners, I hope, because it's already a huge step, to actually come out of your comfort zone and share your ideas, share your projects. And that's why we are social entrepreneurs, because we care about the world and we want to do that. Thank you so much again for some inspirational spirit we keep on bringing to our audience and friends. And Steve, can you please also join our conversation and let us know how MGCY also sees the action orientation in its mission to engage the young people to the UN system. What is basically MGCY for those who don't know?
Thanks, Roman. Thanks so much for having me here. My name is Steve. I'm the organizing partner leading the UN Major Group for Children and Youth. I must give out a shout out to Billy. I think we met back in like 7-8 years ago in Brazil. And I totally forgot about it. And then, yeah, I came back and I see you and I'm like, I think you're the one, right? Yeah, great to see you again. So yeah, what a great place to get connected again. Wow.
Good to see you, Steve. Wonderful to see you here.
Yeah, excellent. My goodness, it's been a while. So yeah, well, thanks so much for having me here. The Major Group for Children and Youth was created back in 1992 at the UN Earth Summit when it was discussing sustainable development. And they figured, although UN is a intergovernmental space only for national governments, in order to implement sustainable development, we need more than national governments. So they established 9 major groups to represent the rest of society, children and youth, women, farmers, trade unions, etc. That's where the major group since 1992 has been a platform, a self-organized platform for children and youth to bring their voice and their aspirations to the UN in influencing UN policy processes around sustainable development. And that's what we do, and you're welcome to participate. The platform is universally open to any young person to get involved in over 120 policy processes at international and regional and thematic levels that we are involved in, one of which is SDGs, one of which is Paris Agreement, etc. So visit our website at unmgcy.org and you can find a way to get involved, where you can find me and message me and I'll connect you to the right path. One thing I want to share is a personal story of mine. Back in 2009, I was one of the child delegates to the G8 summit through UNICEF, along with Roman, actually, when we were both 16 years old, to the G8 summit, now the G7. And yeah, and that's the first time I got involved, and I had no idea what I was doing. At the age of 16, we were supposed to discuss the financial crisis of 2009, which I don't understand. Probably economists would say I still don't understand. Then the other topics were environment and climate change, and that's what got me interested, because I could actually understand some of the basic concepts of what was being discussed. And it was at the major group and other places that I started meeting other young people, very much like you and me, who are actually doing stuff on the ground. And that's really the key point, that the Sustainable Development Goals are only achieved the moment you actually do stuff on the ground. We can discuss all we want about policies and frameworks and all these things about, for example, SDG 6 on sanitation. We can talk about sanitation, we can talk about financing for it, but until the moment that the toilet is actually built and someone actually uses it and flushes the toilet, that is the moment the SDG is achieved, right? And you are the ones actually doing that work. So it's really important that we get connected, we get inspired from each other. This work is thankless. No one recognizes what we do. No one really cares what we do. People forget what we do, but we know that the work we're doing is absolutely essential in moving the progress of the world forward. So it is difficult work, and it is really helpful when we know that it's not just me. There's a lot of people like me around the world who are doing this work. It inspires me, it sustains me, and hopefully it's that kind of network that through Friends for Leadership and others, that you'll be able to have that network, learn the best practices, improve what you're doing, measure and track quantitatively the work you're doing, present that work so others can all improve it together. And it's that moment the SDGs are actually achieved on the ground that we can truly celebrate the world actually is moving forward. So I'm really happy that this group is getting put together, that you have taken the time to implement sustainable development, and you have shared those things, and that we're able to connect and do this. So congratulations on putting your project forward, and best of luck.
Thank you so much, Steve. Indeed, many of us met those who actually formed the core team of Friends for Leadership and started the whole thing. We met across different fora, and this year didn't let us all to meet offline. That's why we keep making these UN 75 related online events and videos, submissions and pictures and so on and so forth. And it also helped us maybe mentally to overcome the crisis, because when you feel that you're connected to like-minded people, no matter what's the distance between you, no matter that you cannot actually physically meet, it actually inspires and gives some life strength, even though when it all comes back to normality, of course we would be happy to host everyone in one of the events, maybe in EcoZoc Youth Forum in New York, if Steve is hosting it on behalf of UNMGCY, which plays a crucial role in content creation for these events. Or you see from my background, it's Ross Congress headquarters, the main organizer of the so-called Russian Davos St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, is actually where we kick-started. So yeah, I give the floor to Sam without any hesitation. So
let me try that again. I was on mute. Apologies.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Sam Loni, and I work at the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the SDSN. And for those of you who are not aware of what the SDSN does, it's essentially a network set up by the Secretary General to mobilize universities and technical and academic experts to support and advise governments on creating solutions in line with the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Agreement. And in that capacity, I've worked across a number of different portfolios, but one of the most important ones has been across youth. In essence, recognizing the importance of giving young people the tools, the networks, and the training necessary for them to transform their societies. I was also incredibly pleased recently and honored to be on the board of MGCY, which is doing such an important and critical work within the United Nations systems by creating spaces and by facilitating, and it is very complex. It's, I think, entrepreneurship at its most complex and at its most effective, but it is such an important network and mechanism for effective engagement of the UN system itself, but also, as mentioned, as a powerful network for the next generation of leaders to step into important roles, whether it's civil society or decision-making within the civil society or policy, but it is in some way, shape or form decision-making within the UN system. And of course, this, thank you for friends for leadership online and the UN 75. I think the project that you've organized is absolutely vital. Getting 500 cases of best practices from 90 countries. I think that is such an important undertaking because it allows us to see what is working in other countries and draw inspiration from them, try to replicate lessons learned. It also facilitates the building of networks. But right now, more than ever, it is extremely important to be able to look at the different approaches that different communities and different leaders are taking in many parts of the world and try to learn from them. So the effective communication and facilitation of these stories and of these successes and also failures is critical for the kinds of work that we're doing around the world. There is no doubt that we are in a serious crisis. We were in a crisis before the pandemic started, but now it has only deepened, it has expanded, and we are in serious trouble. And if we want to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we must look at the recovery from this pandemic to be the most urgent and important thing that we do. And I am of a very strong belief that young people have a critical role to play in this, and can be the most important agents for building back better. Yes, when crises happen, it makes very difficult the lives of millions, in the sense that the pandemic has led to a massive economic decline, the damage done to healthcare systems and to people, but also to entire societies around the world in many different respects, whether it's on issues of gender, on food, and well-being and mental health. So it certainly has been an accelerator of the bad, but it has also opened opportunities for some of the ideas that would have been thought impossible or not politically desirable a year ago to be front and center. And one of the most important one is, of course, universal basic income and social protections, and the importance of those policies in safeguarding and ensuring that people have adequate means to actually pull themselves out of poverty, but also for them to be safe and resilient in the face of shocks and threats such as this pandemic and many other that may emerge in the 21st century. So with that, I really want to thank you, and I also want to re-emphasize the importance of the United Nations and UN 75 in firstly safeguarding and continuing to reiterating the critical and important role the United Nations has played in the peace building process, in the development process, and also in generally for the well-being of people and planet. And secondly, to work with the United Nations to actually accelerate and push for a faster recovery and even more reinstated commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. They are an effective pathway for the future of people and planet, and at this stage they're not happening fast enough. So with that, I want to thank you for having me here, and these discussions are absolutely vital, and please continue on that, and I hope to continue to work with all of you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly on social media or via email. We'll be happy to chat. Thank you so much, and with that.
Thank you, Sam. And it's a good idea. Actually, we can share social media profiles of all the panelists. It may be the email after the webinar. Maybe we can also share the recording for those who didn't see, because as I see now, we have 160 people connected. So maybe, yeah, for those who missed the event, it would be wise to share the recording. Right now, without any hesitation, let's have a quick pitch by our Friends for Leadership members, one by one, each SDGs. What's actually anticipated for the project's evaluation? What is their background? So we actually give the floor of 1 to 2 minutes to each of 17 Friends for Leadership groups to briefly present the work. So we are going to start with Roberto, please.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much, Roman. And thank you to everyone. I can say that we're thrilled to see so many projects around the world and all the work that you're doing. So at least I'm really happy. I'm going to present the first of the frame of the different streams we have at Friends for Leadership that works with SDG number 1, and this is no poverty. Now, when we talk about poverty, we talk about a big array of issues. So poverty and the causes of poverty actually fall into many of the following SDGs. But basically, and some of this has been covered by Sam and by Natalie, the world was in a bad place before the pandemic, and it's going to be worse when this is over, and it's worse now. Just to picture this in data, before the pandemic, around 130 million people were suffering from starvation. And it is estimated that because of COVID, that number is going to go up all the way to 265 million people. That is roughly the population of Indonesia. So that is just to put a number into the challenge that we have as a society. So what do we do with SDG number 1 and in what we call Friends for Solidarity? What we do is we find working solutions, try to find answers, we try to engage, and we try to start bottom up on the ground, working with people in ways to curb this. One of the projects that we work on and that I'm happy to lead, it's called the People Project. And basically what we try to do is to empower young people with skills, both soft skills and hard skills that may enable them in the future, either like short-term or long-term future, to have their own business, to start their own initiative, to be more politically active. That is up to each young person. But we believe that if we give them the tools, and Sam pointed this out, give young people the tools. If we teach young people in schools, in community centers, how they can engage with the world, and we bring experts to them so they can teach them some of the skills, we believe that is a good way of bringing some of these communities out of poverty. And we've seen it work in rural Mexico in a couple of projects that I will be happy to share with you in a later stance. So in the end, we'll be happy to see of your projects, and thank you very much.
So sorry, Roberto, thank you so much. It's always hard to be first. Let me remind other speakers that it's like 1 to 2 minutes. Very briefly overview the SDG area and maybe a couple of words about the projects we're already working on. So please, who's next? John or Regine? Is Regine online? Are you ready to speak about SDG 2?
John, are you with us? he was with us, but he's not. So, oh, John is back. Do you want to talk about Friends for Food?
Please,
I'm
go ahead.
happy to also talk about.
I thought
Well,
you
I think for
share,
the
yeah.
most part, because John, you're welcome to butt in for the next 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and continue because we've had conversations with you and, of course, also the SDG2 working group of MGCY. Like we work very closely also with Mai, and I think like the general message of SDG2 is like how people can be more participants in the food system and not just mere consumers. So us trying to understand what goes on from the food that we bring to our table, like from planting to how it's processed and down to like the nitty-gritty details of nutrition, and then how do we distribute it and make sure that different communities have different access to healthy food, which is of course very much linked to the rest of the Sustainable Development Agenda, because food and health is of course a basic human need, and it's something that's very necessary for us to continue with the rest of the goals. So for instance, here in the Philippines, we work closely with different stakeholders, private and public, to make sure that we see food as a nexus issue. John, maybe you have like 30 seconds to add.
All right, thank you very much, Regine, for that. And to also add to that, SDG 2, that is, and no hunger is simply about to achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. So basically, we are looking at a world population where everyone is going to have access to all these. And hence, our projects, from what we have received, are also tailored in that aspect. Thankfully, next year, which is a United Nations Food Systems Summit, we're looking at how we can consolidate some of these projects into the framework and have a relationship and synergy built between Friends for Leadership, Friends for SDGs, in correlation to the UNFSS 2021. So we look forward to harnessing all these wonderful proposals and ideas and consolidating them to solving global issues with respect to climate change and biodiversity, as well as zero hunger. Thank you very much, respected moderator, for the recognition and floor.
Thank you, John. So in this difficult year, SDG number 3 is particular attention. And Tamara Yakovlevich from Serbia, are you with us?
Yes, thank you, Roman. Hope you hearing me well, because currently I'm out of my office.
Yes, we do.
I'm happy to join you today, and thank you and all partners that we have opportunity today to hear, and other participants. I will speak shortly in project as is mentioned, which is already on the ground, and we implemented it here in support of our Ministry of Innovation and Technological Development. The project and initiatives actually came from the doctors and Serbian experts during the COVID-19 urgency state in Serbia, who are working in Rotterdam, Zurich, and Milan. And we have developed one system for early detection of COVID infection, and which could also support and track working condition and environmental condition of healthcare workers. Also, we find also interesting that and the project is needed, and such application in other systems like manufacturing, and it will be very useful to improve health and well-being of workers.
Thank you, Tamara. So Bhushan, you're next.
Thank you, Roman. Hello, everyone. So my name is Bhushan Dahal. I'm from Nepal. So what we are doing here is we are building schools in some of the remotest part of the country with the objective of reducing this educational gap between the urban and rural part, and also trying to give equal opportunity for children all over the country. There was never doubt that education was always a key, but this pandemic has made us realize that, we might have to look this onto some other different perspective as well. And we are already encouraged and thrilled to know that there has been several amazing projects that would make a real big impact, and that is what something really excites me as an individual and we as a team, that there are some amazing projects which has come through, and we're really excited to take this forward and try to make this world a better place. Yeah, that's all, Roman. Thank you.
Thank you for being very short, and time management is perfect. So David, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Roman.
Please
forgive me for my video crazy down here. All right, so basically, I would want to reiterate that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, especially that of 5, try to move interventions, especially as regards gender activities and issues of ending violence against women and girls, and discrimination against the same gender and sex, and providing equal opportunity for everyone, leaves the corpus of institutions and is being championed by individuals and communities within the framework of existence. So basically, the targets of the Sustainable Development Goal 5, especially as said by the United Nations, is to end all forms of discrimination, eliminate all forms of violence against women, eliminate harmful practices, especially social practices. And that is what the interventions we've been doing here in Nigeria covers. What we do at the Youth Advocacy Program, especially using new, traditional, and social medias, for example, is to disabuse communities, disabuse minds of people from the marginalization that is being faced day in, day out by women and girls globally, and especially in local communities like in the northern part of Nigeria, where we have the prevalent cases of female genital mutilation or courting child marriages, lack of girl child education, and all. So what we try to do at this level is try to sensitize communities and local dwellers about these practices and the malicious nature of it, and try to put a stop to it that way, ensuring that more girls are enrolled in schools and are able to have a comprehensive understanding of comprehensive sexuality education that allows them access to better and well-informed information for a better life. Thank you very much, Roman.
Thank you, David. Sharifa?
Okay, hello everyone. I will share on SDG 6, which is water, clean water and sanitation. As we know that estimated around 790 million people around the world without access to improve their water supply in their location. And what I do in my country here in Malaysia through my NGO, Malaysian Humanitarian Movement, we are doing clean water and clean water supply and clean water sanitation projects in the remote areas of East Malaysia, which is Sarawak. So it is very touching when we go to the remote area that we know that some areas are without clean water access for 20 years. And it is a call for us to go and initiate with the government, the local government, and make a partnership with them, and then we conduct a community project, clean water supply project with the villagers, and we are not using the company based project. So what we want to say is that it is very important for NGOs, for the communities to engage together with the local government and also the other authorities to help the remote areas which are without the water access for so long. So until now, we are doing great with 3 successful projects in 3 different villages. Even though we are in the pandemic season, we managed to settle 2 projects for this year during the COVID season, and then in the next year we will do 2 more. So we will complete like 5 village so far. And I would like to encourage other people also to engage with the people who are left behind in the remote area to identify, to tackle the water supply issues. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Milena.
So, hi everyone, my name is Milena. I'm from Brazil and I'm connected to SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. In regards to my project, I'm representing an initiative by Energy C called Empower C. Its goal is to address the gender gap in the energy field. So we provide a mentorship for young women who wish to boost their career in the energy sector. As you can see, my project connects SDG 7 and 5, and if yours is connected to other SDGs too, that's just fine. But now on the importance of SDG 7, we know that an important topic in the global agenda is the transition to renewable sources of energy. So when we speak of energy, we usually don't think that we people can find a solution and that we depend on a larger company or on the government, but that is not true. And so all projects that had the courage and the initiative to take this issue on their own hands are very welcome to join. So I'm more than happy to welcome and work with you towards this common goal through Friends of Energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's do one quick game. 10 more SDGs, 10 more minutes. Sorry, our time is up. Baljaa.
Hello, everyone. Greetings to you all from Mongolia. I'm Baljaa. I'm a founder of YouthInc, a social enterprise, a young professionals network, and a membership-based community in Mongolia. I represent Friends for Work, which promote SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. SDG 8 promotes sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. According to the UN SDG report 2020, and due to COVID-19 implications, the world faces the worst economic recession since the Great Depression. GDP per capita expected to decline by 4.2% in 2020. And COVID-19 could cause the equivalent of 400 million job losses in second quarter of 2020. In Mongolia, faced with rising unemployment, disrupted education, and further disadvantages in our labor market, immediate attention is required to prepare Mongolian youth and employers to earn and thrive during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. So we offer a solution with our project, Bridging the Gap, Digital Skills Matching, an interesting internship program, which supports SDG 8 for youth and employers to meet the requirements of ever-changing future of work. The goal of the program is to bridge the gaps between youth and employers by enabling youth to acquire needed skills and employability competencies in partnering with employers and business entities. For young Mongolian professionals, we offer personalized development planning and skills training and matchmaking with prospective employers. And for employers and business entities, we offer customized, tailored services and matchmaking of reskilled and upskilled of their new and existing workforce. We believe that this is a scalable project initiative to bridge the gap in a rapidly changing world of work. So we need even more collaborative effort by learning and sharing the best practices in other developing countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Alena?
Greetings from Switzerland. My name is Alena Yudina. I'm a founder of Quantum Leap Strategy. We support here innovative projects in different fields, including technologies, healthcare, and as SDG 9 says, we are supporting infrastructure projects and sustainable development and innovations. So Friends for Innovations, whenever you supply or apply your projects, here we always help you. We guide you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me on social networks or the email which we will share further on. And even if you have some ideas and didn't send us the project yet, don't hesitate. Maybe we develop the ideas through the year, as our section is here to support you anytime.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Magda?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this great opportunity. I'm Magda. I'm from Spain, and I'm founder of Light, where we do executive and personal coaching, helping people to achieve their goals and be agents of change. And today I'm talking about the SDG 10, which is reduced inequality within and among countries. Basically, aims to ensure equal opportunities to everyone everyone, regardless of gender, race, disability, or ethnicity, by eliminating discriminatory laws, policies, and practices. So what can be done with this? To curb these growing disparities, it is very necessary to adopt strong policies that empower low-income people and promote as well the economic inclusion for everyone, reducing inequalities and ensuring no one is left behind. Because inequality keeps people from reaching their full potential in education and their professional and personal career. So for young people, for example, this is very connected with my project. In order to do a summit that will be 3 days called Youth Leadership Development Summit for 2021 to achieve this kind of ensuring they become agents of change. They're going to receive necessary tools about mindfulness, personal development, about leadership, entrepreneurship, in order to connect with their talents to live a life of purpose, and as well to debate across how can we ensure a more sustainable world? How can we ensure an equal world, and all together to be connected in order to achieve those challenges that we are approaching right now with this COVID situation, which is not easy, but only with the inclusive growth can the whole world stay together and prosper. Otherwise, it's complicated. So let's stay together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Said goes next. Said, can you hear me? While Said is getting prepared, I briefly tell that actually SDG 11, or Friends of Cities, was our actually the inaugural format. So this was the first one which we launched in February 2019. And we are really developing this format with the support of UN Habitat. And we are now in the stage of signing MOU with the UN Habitat, which will also provide us with different new instruments to gather best practices from the world, and together with the UN Habitat to disseminate it. We actually see our work with on SDG 11, on smart and sustainable cities, as actually the role model for all the other SDGs, because if we go each SDG one by one and align it with the relevant profile agency of the UN, I think this is how we can actually serve our function to get SDG solution from the ground to the UN system, where they already help it to spread where it's needed. So if Said is still not with us, let's maybe move to a trio of gentlemen, Gaurav, Rishabh, and Raymond, who will creatively share a couple of others SDGs they're working on together.
Can I start a little bit, few words?
Please.
Yeah.
Very few words, as we are already too much.
Yeah, I see. So first of all, good evening to all the attendees and to all the panelists. I am Rishabh Sethi from India. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the Rus Promo organization and Ross Congress Foundation for organizing such a great important event for our meeting, and providing such a platform for the young people from around the world to share such innovative projects in all the SDG goals. So if we talk about our SDG goal number 13, that is climate change, everybody knows this is one of the major agenda which is globally affecting in each and every country is facing. So here we invite all the young people from different countries across the world who have shared their innovative projects and ideas. So we are looking forward for the real best practices projects, and we are there to support for all this project, which are basically mainly help us to make some changes in the climate change across the world, and some provide some good trainings to the young people. So maybe our member Gaurav, maybe you can also add some words, please.
Thank you, Rishabh. So yeah, overall talking about SDGs number 12, 13, 14, and 15, I would say this is one of the most urgent SDGs to be acted upon. And when we talk about, diversity across countries, I still believe that problems are common. I've been following the recent news where in US there has been a real timer which shows that how much time is left in terms of next 1.5 degree rise in climate change. And that duration is somewhat 7 years and few days. So I believe that when clock is ticking, it's really important that we not just talk about on the awareness, but we also talk about the execution, as Steve also mentioned while referring to the toilet example. I would say that this is something I've been more passionate about. Professionally, I work on majorly on waste, and my expertise lies in terms of creating solutions where we help our clients convert waste into fertilizer, biofuel, electricity, and cooking gas. That's the one project. Apart from that, we also work with hotels where we ensure that all their used soaps becomes a new soap and gets distributed to kids who need soap for sanitation. And apart from that, I'm also working on the project where we are building an efficient value chain when it comes to processing of waste and logistics involved into it. So with that, I would say it's an extremely urgent SDGs to be worked upon. And I'm sure there are a lot of projects which needs a lot of support in terms of execution. And I believe through under the banner, we'll be able to bring on solutions in a way that we will try to increase the amount of days left with us. With that, I will invite Raymond to take forward.
Colleagues, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are. My name is Raymond Matlala and I'm based in South Africa. And I would like to just touch base on the SDG 12 around ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns. And in this stream, we will be looking at about 3 critical basic needs. We talk about how do we consume water responsibly. How do we preserve water? I mean, we're sitting here in South Africa today, where 2 years ago we had water issues where we had to had limitations around the water and we had load shedding around the water. And today we're also sitting here in South Africa with load shedding around power supply with our energy supplier and energy generator, ESCOM. So that is another critical element we will talk about. We will look into in this stream, which is energy, the consumption, a sustainable consumption of energy. And lastly, around sustainable consumption of food. How do we then work with the SDG 2, which is led by John, around these ideas of food security and sustainable food around land degradation and declining soil fertilizer and sustainable water use. So those are the elements, the critical elements that this particular stream will look into. And thank you to everyone who has applied, and we look forward to engaging with you in your project and joining the Friends for Leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. So, TR Salahuddin from Algeria.
Thank you, Mr. Roman, and thank you everyone for being today with us. As Roman said, they are Salahuddin from Algeria, and I am the founder of Algeria Youth Ambassadors Foundation, which is essentially founded to promote peace, coexistence, and living together in peace. And talking about peace, we all know that we are talking about the SDG number 16. The Algeria Youth Ambassadors and our work, we do not also work only on the SDG 16, but we focus on the achievement of the 2030 agenda of the United Nations. So we are active in 5 fields: the humanitarian field, the social, the academic field, the scientific, and the cultural field. And in order to be very short, let me say that if you go more deeply into SDG number 16, we see that in the indicator A, it aims to international cooperation and building capacity. And also, as Natalie said, reduce corruption and bribery. And if we talk about reducing corruption and bribery, let me tell you that recently, this week, Algeria Youth Ambassadors we make in partnership with the UNDP and also with the National Authority for the Prevention of Corruption in order to train our members to become trainers to prevent from corruption all the members and spread this this knowledge in the civil society of Algerian civil society. Also, if we talk about peace, let me tell you that peace is a hard topic in the Sahel region. And tomorrow, we'll be attending the Parliamentarian Day at the Parliament of Algeria in order to support the Western Sahara question and help for promoting and preventing conflicts in Algeria and colonialism in Africa. So thank you, Mr. Roman, and I give you back the floor.
Thank you. Regine, you wanted to present some opportunity for SDG 16 also, right?
So Asian Youth Peace Network, we wish to thank our partner institution, International Youth Center in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, as it recently opened its doors to more regions, sorry for the background, and youth around the world. IYC for Peace is looking for initiatives in the global south that aim to address decolonization issues in Asia, Middle East, North Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean and Africa. So we're going to give 15 youth-led initiatives, a series of mentorships and micro grants. And then of course, for Friends for Peace, one grant that's open to all regions. So don't forget to follow us on Facebook through Friends for Leadership and also IYC for Peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Gustavs, SDG 17.
Yes, hello. I'm Gustav from Latvia. I'm founder of social enterprise All Opportunities, which is tying together young people, youth organizations, corporations, and also opportunities in all of this. And on a daily basis, we work with cooperation. And most of the speakers actually have already mentioned how insane it is that this Friends for Leadership has been able to gather applicants from more than 90 countries, and that actually borders are becoming much less relevant, and that at this point we actually can share these best practices. So I will not go further into that. Only thing that I want to add is that I think despite this really hard year of having COVID and being at home, we actually have opened up towards digital solutions. And I think that actually that can bring us forward, because through this year we have learned how to not only work more efficiently digitally, but also actually how to establish genuine connection between people digitally. So that's also my wish for all of you, that after this, we have more genuine connection between all of us and that we can actually connect with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, dear friends. So I'm sorry, dear participants of the meeting, that we a bit delayed and that it's already like 8 minutes past our time. So to actually close the event, I would like to repeat for those who maybe missed in the beginning that we strive to work and develop with every initiative proposed by you through our contest, because our idea actually grew up after our active cooperation with the UN 75, when we understood the need of, we actually need to help the UN to gather those real initiatives from the ground. So as you were so brave to submit your project, we will help you on different stages. It will imply different help from our side. As I think I was interrupted at some point while giving the floor to one of our panelists by saying that Roscongress is one of the partners, always provides us with venues in Russia and different other countries where we host events, like St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, or some events in Davos in Switzerland, depending on the global fora. We also provide some grants, for some travel grants. For instance, some of the speakers which you just seen, they came to that event where we started our activities using those grants. And so opportunities will come. And I see Gustav's now from his platform, All Opportunities, and gives me a lot of positive. So just again to repeat, we believe that 100 projects will be shortlisted. Maybe we will even expand this number. give us please some time to work on it, because we really did not anticipate this amount of projects. And in some parts of the world, everyone is already waiting for Christmas, but in other parts of the world, we keep working. So trust, our year ends on 31st of December. So before the 31st of December, you will get the results. But the main result is that you're already in. So we are happy to work with you as Friends for Leadership. We will follow up in next emails on how we see this or that processes of joining us, of sharing your projects with the UN, and which grant opportunities. You see, Regine already expressed the opportunity of micro grant for SDG 16. So those projects submitted there will be considered for this grant. Also, we are considering a grant for best video submitted to the contest, and for those who already submitted it, of course, and for all other nominations the same. So give us some time, we will be back with new updates, and thank you very much for your kind attention. I see that the majority of audience stayed with us till this moment, and it really inspires. From those who opened emails and followed our link, we see the statistics. It's very interesting. But anyways, as we were recording this meeting, we will share it definitely. So thank you very much. Stay tuned. Wait for details. Details will come, as I hope pleasant news for the new year. And please be safe, stay healthy, and love each other. What can I say? Thank you very much, and
wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy COVID New Year, COVID free.
Thanks, Rishabh. So good luck to everyone, and we will be further in touch.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.